Representative Hinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to our witnesses. Thank you so much for being here. It was just last summer, I think, in this very room, we actually had a roundtable where this committee heard directly from industry professionals about some of the risks to active pharmaceutical ingredients in the Chinese supply chain. And we know that in the broader public health sphere, of course, that China has invested billions of dollars into their own manufacturing capabilities. They are subsidizing at government expense, advancing that research, and countering China with our domestic base is not only important to protect American patients, but it's also important to our broader economy. We've heard about the risks of if this all bottoms out and it all goes over there, what that will do to our domestic workforce. So this is about preserving our national security interests as well as our public health pipeline for every single American. So, Mr. Jimenez, thank you so much for being here today and kind of giving your perspective on the venture capital and the business side of how this all intersects. And we know that consistent improvement in the coordination across public and private sectors is absolutely critical to making sure that we can maintain a resilient posture in the pharmaceutical manufacturing and biotech space. So we know not one sector can do it alone. Clearly, we're hearing today about how interconnected they are. So my question to you today is, what does in your mind, going forward, a successful partnership look like between the private sector and then state, local, federal partners to make sure that we are not only amplifying production for critical APIs, but also making sure we're not ceding that manufacturing ability as well?
So with respect to manufacturing, I'll kind of cede to my colleagues here who spend a lot more time thinking directly about that. That said, the best things that we can do is strengthen the relationship between the FDA and kind of our research communities right now, as well as our clinical research facilities that are generally funded by government grants.
And by strengthening the relationship, what is your idea there on how that needs to improve? I mean, you talk about the time, right? Yeah. I heard you mention, let's get to 5 years, which would be great. Yeah. But what else do you think needs to happen to improve that relationship?
So I think the FDA being much more open to getting to first-in-human clinical data is incredibly important. And so we can follow the examples, not just of China, but actually through Australia and their CTM programs that allow people to get into clinical data and first-in-human data quickly. I think we can do that also by, as Jake has alluded to, allowing investigator-initiated trials, which is really the true mechanism that's working within China right now. Investigator-initiated trials are when clinical research institutions run trials and sponsor those trials, as opposed to private companies. And what that does is it allows a trial sponsor, who is generally going to be a well-trained expert in the field, to run a clinical trial and gather clinical data. What has happened in China is that is the actual mechanism that people are running these fast trials, and that is not a mechanism that we've really fully elaborated on in the United States. It's done, but it's not done to the extent. And so allowing our NIH and our granting agencies into clinical research facilities, and also giving the FDA the authority to accept data from there and move into fast clinical trials there, is one thing that the government could be doing that'd be fantastic. And then we'll take care of the rest. The private sector can fund in this data.
And do you think that actually saves money in the long run as well? I mean, if that collaboration is able to happen, not only it's about speed, truly like a warp speed operation, right? But do you think that will make its way down to the consumer on saving money on these drug prices as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the best way we've ever seen prices go down is with more competition. And more competition comes from the greater ability for many companies to test these things out and bring drugs to market. We often cite this $1 to $3 billion to get a drug to approval. If we drop that to 5 years, that number necessarily has to go down, and investment can be much more into many more high-risk activities that would be beneficial to more Americans.
Yeah, and I see you nodding your head. Do you have anything to add there? Obviously, I mean, driving down prices is one thing, but speed is another, and competition is another. So I think you agree with all those things.
I do, and if I can just say, there's sort of two different pieces of calculus to think about here. One is, of course, the time and the money. Whenever anyone makes an investment, whether it's a company like mine, an investment firm like Francisco's, they're thinking about risk-reward, right? And if the risk is exorbitantly high because of the time and cost it takes to develop a medicine, then either the reward needs to be exceptionally large, or you need to decrease the risk in another sort of way, and that's where we get with this high cost and long time of development, we get a lot of new medications that are being tested that are next logical steps forward instead of radical steps forward, right? Our goal with drug development should be to keep patients out of the hospital. That is where we will actually find, regardless of drug pricing, we will find the highest healthcare savings writ large if we keep patients out of the hospital and if we keep people alive. That is better for patients, it's better for America. If you want to take those radical steps forward, then we need to radically change the calculus of the risk that investors, both companies and investment firms, are making on those drugs, and we can start tackling things as ambitious as aging. Thank you.
I have a lot of questions about how we can stop the hamstringing of this investment, but I see I'm out of time, so I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much.